well, the magnet, the strap magnet doesn't want to lock in place. As I'm saying, guys, what else could go wrong? On our journey today. Okay. Now the strap's too tight, so I can't really talk too well. Oh my god. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to do this properly. So let's fix the strap here first. All right. Okay, now the strap is on par. Which should alleviate a lot of our wardrobe problems. Get the gloves back on, guys. Ah, what a morning. We are now in the River West neighborhood of Chicago. Slowly approaching there we go, the Polish Heritage, the Illinois Polish Heritage Cordon right here, if you guys can read the well there. So yeah, let us investigate, because of course in the early 1850s, after such heroes, such Revolutionary War heroes, such as Casimir Pulaski, and who was right at George Washington's side every step of the Revolutionary War. Casimir Pulaski was one of Europe's most successful military generals, who came and agreed to fight for the War of Independence, for the United States War of Independence, and soon followed a colonel who, well, eventually became we eventually received my god, I can't talk today. Who eventually received the title or the rank of colonel, was an engineer by the name of Kosciuszko, and who's really famous in Europe for being a mastermind in military fortifications. So likewise, General Washington commissioned him, and he ended up fighting for about staying in the United States for about 8 years during the Revolutionary War, and a little bit of post Revolutionary War, where his brigadier general during the war had tried to convince him to stay, you know, because what happened to Kosciuszko was that Kosciuszko fought for 8 years without a salary. I mean, he was commissioned on a salary, but due to the war there was a lot of back pay. So throughout the war he was financed by a famous Polish-Jewish banker named Chaim Solomon, which allowed him to survive, you know, through his service with the United States. And ultimately, when he finished, you know, he was due like $12,800 of back pay on a 6% sort of on a 6% interest, I believe. So at the end of the day, he was due. He was due about 19,000, which ultimately he received. But then he decided to go back to Poland, but even though, you know, with his military service here to the United States, he was awarded the rights to 500 acres, 500 acres of American land if he chose to settle here, you know. Oh yeah, there's Racine, guys. So technically, the Polish corridor would, some argue, would start from here. So anyways, you know, maybe, I don't know what. So well, he told the reason, his reasoning for not settling here was that he still had some fighting to do in Poland, as you know, as Poland was going through. You know, it was right before the time where Poland got partitioned for the second time. So he said there was a lot of work left to do, but I think he ultimately only lived until 1785. But you know, maybe slavery had something to do with it, because you know, many Polish people were against slavery because, you know, we were slaves in the Roman Empire. So perhaps maybe that deterred him, you know, like owning a lot of land. You know, how do you work 500 acres? You know, you would have to hire slaves. So, you know, maybe he was against hiring slaves or owning slaves, buying slaves, you know. So maybe that's why he just decided it wasn't a good idea for him. But you know, I mean, that's one thing I wanted to mention about him. And here we're passing the Polish Museum of America, run by the Catholic Union. So that probably another day, guys, when we have a little more time, we could probably go and make an appointment and check out that museum. And actually, let's get some information for you guys about the museum. So yeah, I mean, what kind of, you know, what kind of person would turn down at the time for his service? It was, you know, like he was due $19,000, which in today's money would have probably made it about $350,000, you know, plus the 500 acres of land, you know. I mean, how do you turn that down? You know what I mean, guys? But he did. Oh well, and here we are. So guys, if you guys want to check out the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America, so the main entrance to the museum is here.